Man today and I'm not gonna like sugarcoat much. Manhood today is under attack. Yeah. And I want you to realize that it's okay to be man. Let me start by saying first and foremost that I come from a family of 7. I have 4 sisters and 2 brothers, and I'm the 7th. I love my sisters in Christ very much. Freeze. I love them very much. And I'm very sincere when I say this. This is not even a joke. I am probably one of the greatest feminists in my household because I do believe that women have been underpaid, underappreciated, and for all intents and purposes have been overlooked for many years. So this conversation that we're going to have is not to say that you are above, but to bring us back to the marital state of the original place where man and woman was before the fall of man, and is that we are truly equal. We have unique strengths and unique callings. When God took from Adam, he took from his side. So this talk isn't to amp you up as man as above our sisters. Do you understand me? Thank you. We have a unique calling. A unique calling. How many individuals in here, my adults, any military personnel here? Anybody who served in the military? Back there, sir? Air Force. Thank you. Anyone else? Sir? Army. Thank you. Thank you for your service. Where at? Sir? Army. Am I missing anybody? If I can get those military personnel to please just stand for a second so we can acknowledge you, that would be greatly appreciated. Can you stand? Thank you. Thank you. Back in 2006, there was an act that was passed. It was called the Stolen Valor Act. It's now a federal misdemeanor for an individual to play the part or fake the part of being a part of an elite group of people who have dedicated their lives to the service of their country. So an individual who walks around with a uniform and proclaims that he or she is military without actually doing time in the military can be charged with a federal misdemeanor. They're impersonating people who've actually gone to service for their country. Today, masculinity is going through a bout of stolen valor. The way that God originally designed man to be, it is an elite calling specifically designed for you. From the very beginning of time, the call to protect and serve was written in the blueprint of God's creation for man. In our world, there's a lot of stolen valor when it comes to masculinity. There are individuals who proclaim to be man, but what they spread is a toxic masculinity, and they don't really do the work of their original blueprint. The masculinity that's promoted out there is all about success, wealth, and strength. It's about getting the upper hand. It's about dog-eat-dog world mentality. It has a very unspoken mantra, a silent mantra that says, I am who I need, and I need no one else. If you ever look at your manly men out there, there are men that go far beyond their physical limitations to prove to themselves that they can physically do something. That's great. What's the purpose? Because if it's about you and your body, then that's stolen valor. What is your purpose? What are we called to do? Are you making money just to make money? Is that the end game? Because if the end game is to make money just to make money, I can tell you of a ton of pharaohs and emperors that died with their money. But where is it? With them in the tomb. Is it about power? Because I can go throughout history of individuals who had self-proclaimed power that eventually lost at the end of their reign. And what would be remembered is the battle between their power and the power of the weak that had overcome them. We go back biblically and we see the very beginnings of a battle between the true, genuine blueprint design versus the design of someone who wants power, control. We talked about the very beginning, at the very beginning of Friday night, about this story of Adam and Eve and in the garden, and the serpent enters and comes and isolates and injects uncertainty and doubt and fear. A power struggle between a creature who wants to be equal to God and ends up tricking others to believe that they too can be equal to God. Or we go biblically, someone that you guys probably already know but have a real messed up vision of because you claim or envision him to be weak, and that's David. Remember the story of David and Goliath? Right? Little confused shepherd boy that trips into the battle scene and fights Goliath. When you see comic book depictions or your CCD depictions of David, right? He's this scrawny looking dude that just tripped into battle, and Goliath is this monstrosity of a man, and so on. Stolen valor versus genuine design. Goliath claimed and talked a real good game about how much of a warrior he was. And David came in with a few rocks and a slingshot and his staff and got made fun of. Got made fun of from Goliath, and even his own people made fun of him. Like, yo, you're going to fight this elite soldier with rocks and sticks? Goliath says, what am I, some sort of dog? David ended up going like, no, I don't think you understand that like, yeah, I might be weak, but I don't do things on my own. I bring my God to battle. So when you battle me, you're battling me and my God. And you've no match for my God. Because the same God that was with me as a little shepherd boy that would fight off lions and bears to protect the sheep, the same God that's going to be with me when I defeat you, as he speaks to Goliath. And see the difference between stolen valor and actual people of valor is that when things hit the fan, those with stolen valor will run and hide. Those with true conviction and courage will stand up against the current, will stand up in the midst of things going sideways. See, because no one wanted to step up to battle when Goliath was talking his trash, but yet in Scripture it says that David ran towards Goliath. Goliath stood very arrogant and cocky, and David ran towards him to pursue him. See, I bit into the hype of the stolen valor masculinity. I bit into it so much that even to today, I still have problems with the way I view myself and my success or how man I am. To this day, there's moments where I am tripping up over the stolen valor in my original blueprint. You know, Father David, when he was here, he talked about, like, can you look in the mirror and see the grace of God? And there's times where I look in the mirror and see the grace of God, sometimes for too long. I'm like, man, you look so good, bro. You are so fresh. Look at you, you little short, chubby Antonio Banderas. You are beautiful, man. But then there are times, you're welcome. There are times where standing in front of that, I bite that forbidden fruit of that stolen valor, that fake masculinity, and I stare at myself and I'm like, but I'm not fit enough. You know, I was just at Planet Fitness before coming here, and there was this dude, and he was jacked, man. This dude literally, I think, is the Incredible Hulk. And he was sitting there clanging and banging. The lunk alarm didn't go off, which I think is pretty messed up of Planet Fitness to claim that they don't judge people, but they'll set an alarm to judge the lunk. Stupid. Sorry, you're going to have to scratch that because they probably want to sue or something nuts. But here he is clanging and banging, you know. Muscles upon muscles. His muscles had muscles. And I said to myself, bro, if you're the strongest dude in the gym, then you're not challenging yourself. You walk into a place and you ought to be the weakest dude. Why? Because you want to chase that. And here we are to believe that individuals that have it seemingly all together are the epitome of manhood. And the way that we view it is through their success, how much they make, what they look like. I was at a barbershop before coming here, and I was listening to a dude talking about he was on a dating website. And the minute that he put in his height, because he was 5'4" like me, he got no one interested because he was so short. And he asked a question, which he asked jokingly, and it took every ounce of my energy to not get like straight like Steubenville conference on him. But he goes, am I not man because I'm short? We buy into a bunch of stuff that the world says is man. Here, I'll give you some signs of stolen valor, right? Because there's some videos out there on YouTube where military personnel are actually confronting individuals of stolen valor, and they'll go up to them and be like, hey, what squad were you a part of? And they make up a squad, and they're like, that squad doesn't exist. Why is your flag that way? The flag should be this way. What does this medal mean? And what does that medal mean? And how did you get staff sergeant and only have served for 4 years? Like, how did you, like, and they'll go in and start questioning this stuff. I want to give you the same tools to start questioning when you see stolen valor within masculinity yourself. So here's some clues that are going to give you an indicator that there is some stolen valor there. A self-made man, self-sufficient, stolen valor. Because you didn't create yourself. You didn't will yourself into existence. A self-made man is a clear enough sign that there's stolen valor. A man that is apathetic and indifferent. I'm sorry, our original blueprint is not to be indifferent. It's to engage. To be indifferent and throw up the universal, not me, not my problem. Stolen valor. An individual who claims that the success is in the career or the influence of power that they have. An individual who flaunts the power that they have. Stolen valor. An individual who claims that they are incapable of being afraid or that they have no weakness is stolen valor. But let me give you some clues as to your original blueprint. The original blueprint of man. A man that is humble. A man that provides. A man that serves and protects. A man that values brotherhood. A man who's encouraged by brotherhood. A man who is driven to be better for the sake of others. See, there's a long list of ways that you can see that stolen valor, and it's a very short list of what it really means. But one requires a ton of sacrifice. One requires you to step outside of you for a second and look at the bigger picture. What did Adam do when he found out that he done messed up? He hid. He ran and he hid. What did Jesus do when he realized that the world done messed up? He engaged. See, Adam is a perfect example of an individual who didn't live up to the blueprint. And Jesus is the perfect example of a true man. Disclaimer, I don't claim to be perfect. The level of unworthiness that I feel before coming to a conference like this and speaking on behalf of the Lord, for the betterment of His kingdom, it's a lot of pressure in the sense of like, I don't have it all together, but every day I work that much more towards it. I work on trying to be humble. Sometimes that's hard. I work on trying to provide for my family, for my wife, but sometimes that requires sacrifice, and that's hard. I work on trying to like really keep a genuine brotherhood, and in all honesty, sometimes that's hard. I work on trying not to show my fears so much or how weak I am, but in all honesty, that can be hard. I want to be driven and be a part of something bigger than just myself, but sometimes that can be hard. We have this disconnect between us and suffering and hardships that it's almost sickening to a point of like, we will do other things and make things really hard for ourselves so that we can accomplish some stolen valor. Things that you do come with hardships. If you're an athlete, there is sacrifice. There is sacrifice. If you want to be good at something, there's sacrifice that has to be made. Time that has to be put into it. For my brothers that served in the military, you know that there was sacrifice there. Boot camp wasn't a walk in the park. I lived in Norfolk for a while, the Virginia Beach area where there's a lot of military personnel, and hearing some of the stories of things that individuals encountered in the hardships of warfare. You and I were designed to embrace hardships. And that's an okay thing. It's okay for something to be hard. Your body's even designed to take on hardships. You know how you build muscle? You first have to tear muscle. And when you tear muscle, the protein you intake replaces and fits in those tears. That's how you bulk up. You want to play an instrument? John Paul, in order to be as good as he is at the guitar, had to get those calluses on those fingers. Those are steel strings. That's hard. Our very blueprint physically speaks of the beauty of hardship and sacrifice as part of the fabric of man, part of the fabric of humanity. Do you remember the story of Peter? When Peter was like hearing Jesus saying that he's going to have to go die or he's going to have to go suffer, and Jesus got really mad at him. And what did Jesus say? Get behind me, Satan. You guys remember that? And you'd be like, whoa, like, Jesus, why are you throwing shade on your boy like that? Like, he's just trying to protect you. Why would you be so mad that you would call him your enemy at this point? Fulton Sheen explains this in a video about the diabolic. He says, because at that point in time, Peter did the same thing that Satan did at the temptation. Those 40 days where Jesus was being tempted. Because what Satan attempted to do was say, hey, don't you want to be comfortable, Jesus? Don't you want to walk away from sacrifice and hardships? Wouldn't it be easier for you to just make the stone bread? Wouldn't it be easier for you to just make everyone bow down to you? Or like, wouldn't it be easier to just use your power? So when Peter does this, Peter does no different than what Satan did at the desert, because Peter wants a triumphant God that doesn't suffer. And Jesus at that point spoke boldly of the blueprint, because he came down and took on our flesh. That sacrifice is a part of our blueprint, our DNA. Fulton Sheen in one of his books says, Satan's going to come in multiple forms, but the one form that he will never take on is the form of a wounded man. Because Satan loves comfort and knows nothing about sacrifice. Gentlemen, you've been trained at a very young age that brotherhood and community is all about just hanging in your squad and encouraging the other person to do whatever they want to do. That ain't brotherhood. Because that doesn't work in the military either, right? I'm not a man who's ever served in the military. My dad served in the military. I wanted to serve in the military. God had different plans for me. But that doesn't work. That doesn't work when they go out and they're in the battlefield and their squad's like, Sarge, we're going to do whatever we want. No, you ain't. Y'all got to be an example of true masculinity that looks out for each other. When you gather up here, you're like, skirt. As a man, that's awesome. That makes me feel good. That makes me feel good. I'm not going to lie. But it also makes it feel weird, right? Because I would rather your prayers than your chants. I would rather every time you want to chant my name that you be like, yo, let's say a glory be for Oscar. You know, for him being a father, for him being a husband, all this other stuff. But back in the day, that would be what I would chase. Because that's masculine, right? It says this dude is popular, he's famous, let's use it, right? And it's like, Oscar, I'm like, yeah, that's right, say my name. Gentlemen, man, like, we're getting wrecked on the battlefield today. We're getting wrecked on the battlefield because the world has now confused this sense of true masculinity and has made you feel as if you're either inferior or it has made you a toxic masculine figure where you just kind of pound your chest and be like, I am man, and everyone bow down before me. Nah, we're still struggling with brushing our teeth in the morning. I don't think people are going to bow down to any of that nonsense. But like, you guys are created in a very amazing way. There are some saints that have stepped up to the call of true masculinity for the sake of looking out for their brothers, man. There's an African saint we just celebrated recently, Charles Lwanga. Him and his 22 companions that he was protecting from an emperor that wanted to demasculize them. And protecting them and them following his lead and protecting themselves, all 22 died at the hands of this emperor. He looked out for his crew. The story of Saint Jose Luis Sanchez del Rio, little 14-year-old flag bearer during the time of the Cristero War in Mexico, where the president, an atheist president, wanted to be done with God in the country. And he waved his flag proud. And during one of the battles, he got knocked off his horse. They forgot about him, and he got captured. And this little 14-year-old boy holding the banner of the Cristeros, people who stood for Christ, was told, denounce Jesus Christ, and he refused. He refused. And they tortured him to a point where he is now being tortured with another by his side. And the individual by the side they used against him. Why? Because he cares about his brothers. They're like, if you don't denounce, we will end him. And he looks at his brother, he looks at his friend, and he goes, listen, I'll see you in heaven. It got to a point where they slit the bottom of their feet and made him walk miles to the firing squad. He suffered. It was hard. And every step of the way, denounce and we can make this easy. Denounce and we can make this easy. And as he stands before the firing squad, wounded, 14 years old, they say denounce, and he says, Viva Cristo Rey. Long live Christ the King. And those were his last words. 14. Brothers, we're called to a community, a strong community that really looks out for each other. I love the fact that you guys are unified in voice. I love the fact that you guys are unified in repping where you're from. When I came to Steubenville for the first time at a conference, me and the 5 inner city kids that came to Ohio for the first time, we wore camouflage, we were straight hood, we showed up, and we're like, what is happening here? We were being greeted with an acoustic guitar and people in Birkenstocks. They're like, hey, brothers, welcome to Jesusville. We want you to know Jesus with your whole heart, mind, and your soul. Can I pray for you? If you don't step up, get up. And there we stood with one another. We prayed with one another. We walked with one another. We challenged one another. We grew holy together during this conference. We stopped repping the hood and started repping Christ on that very weekend, on this very ground. I love that your voices are together, because that's step one of stepping up for your boys. Stop cutting your boys down. Stop robbing each other and making each other feel like they're less manly. Stop contributing to this stolen valor epidemic that's taking place. Stop contributing to it. Like, I'm sorry, if your boy's about to do a knuckleheaded thing that might cost him something in his soul, that might cost, someone else, like, use that same unified voice to be like, I don't think that's a good idea. I got a handful of brothers that I can call at any point in time. My boy Alex, my boy J.P. Nunez, my boy John Paul. At any point in time, I know that there's an opportunity for me to grow. Men, do you understand that the assault is against you? Do you understand that this current generation is assaulting you? The people who are called by design to protect and serve, to stand alongside our sisters and proclaim Christ boldly. Do you realize that they've muzzled you? You have been muzzled by the world because you no longer can proclaim Christ and act like Christ publicly. You have been muzzled. The only thing that gets muzzled is a dog. You're not a dog. You are a man created in the image and likeness of God, and the world has made you accept that your muzzle is a good thing. You want to change the world, change it in the locker room. Change the dynamic in the locker room. Just you. I bet you when you stop doing stuff and you take on the brunt of it, especially my captains out there, my seniors out there, they'll follow your lead, man. You want to change the dynamic? Yo, don't do what everyone does when they post things and say things and comment on things. You want to change the dynamic when someone makes a racist joke? Don't follow along. When someone makes a sexist joke, don't follow along. When someone's demeaning your sister, don't follow along. You want to change the world silently? Pray for the individual who's sitting next to you. My brothers, do you hear me? You want to be glorious, man, and we really need to step up. I love this image of a lion because it does represent the Lion of Judah. But it reminds me of a story of a pack, a group, a coalition of brother lions, actual lions in South Africa. This pack, this group of lions, this pride, as brothers, they have completely taken over 170,000 acres. No one steps on the field because these brothers look out for one another. And when another pride comes in, they step up together as brothers. There is not one lead. They are the lead. Gentlemen, are you ready to be that group of brothers? Are you ready to stop being men that live within stolen valor and actually live within that blueprint of manhood? If you're ready for something like that, I need you to stand with me right now. Gentlemen, I love the love that you guys have for being man. I love the love that you have for one another. I love the fact that your voices scream super loud for anything that remotely resembles man. But my brothers, I need that same voice to be a voice that cries out right now in prayer for not just one another, but first to call upon God to be here with us right now. Gentlemen, I was told at a very young age that I wouldn't accomplish much. I remember being in high school and being told that I wasn't going to accomplish much. But that wasn't a part of my original design. Because see, while the world was telling me that I wasn't going to accomplish much, my God was telling me that I made you for more. And just like David, and just like Jesus, and just like Charles Lwanga, and just like Jose, and just like any other saint, those who really stand up and be bold are the ones who call upon their God. David didn't go into battle by himself. He went in with his God. Jesus at the garden says, "Not my will, but yours be done." Charles Lwanga did what he did with God on his side. Jose Sanchez del Rio stood up for God now will you.